Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What's up, guys? Happy 2024 and welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater centric podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, the CMSnetwork.com, and the CMS Network Rumble page. We are at those locations every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to click that like button, click that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. Without further ado, let me bring on my very good friend, potential future coworker, depending on how his interview goes at my company. But he is the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Hendrickson. What's up, man?
Dude, 2024, does that look really weird when you write that out like that? Like, it's like the Jetsons, you know, the cars are going to be flying and stuff. It looks kind of futuristic to me when I see it, like, just written out like that.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely weird. I mean, hell, if for no other reason, it's a leap year. So,
Yeah.
you know, I kind of feel like we just got through one of those, but, you know, yeah, here we are, another leap year, another year. This is, so here's something crazy that I noticed today. So we're trying to come up with a list of topics for the year. We always try and do the stuff ahead of time if we can. And I have a sheet that I keep all of our show topics on, like suggestions, like we could do this, we could do this. And the date of the sheet is January 19th of 2021.
Wow.
I'm like, holy crap. And I mean, of the numbered episodes, this is number 75. And I know I think I missed a number in there somewhere. So we've actually probably done closer to 80 episodes. But man, it is crazy to think how long this has gone on. Like, you know.
So we're starting year 4 then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
I know. So it's been a great ride, man. And I mean, pulling back the curtain, you and I have always talked about, okay, you know, the reason it's Dream Theater centric now is because, well, how long are we going to be able to talk strictly Dream Theater without like nitty grittying? Like, let's break down the chord structures of the middle section of Breaking All Illusions, you know?
Right.
But you know, 2024 is going to give us plenty of stuff to talk about, it looks like. So, you know, right off the rip, I thought we would just kind of have a open forum discussion and kind of give our expectations for the band in 2024, get the fans in here and, you know, see what they have to say.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so you get let's say, I don't want to say door number 1, door number 2. A or B, what do you think will produce a better album? They lock themselves in the studio for, let's say, 3 weeks, write an entire album.
Okay.
Or they take time on their own for 3 months, compiling ideas, trading back and forth. Let's say 2 months of that, 3 months of that. Then get together, flush everything out for 3 months, and come up with like a double concept album or something. Which do you think would sound better or be more organic? Or, well, we know it's more organic, but what do you think would be better?
I think for my preference, I mean, having more of a new record is always great. So the double concept record is really cool. I mean, that would be one hell of a Dream Theater thing to do. But I think for me, the first option would be better, at least to my ears, because, you know, there's this fresh energy, which, you know, we've talked about before. There's going to be a certain, you know, aggression and attitude to this record just because they're so fired up to work together again. And mute my mic because I burped there. You know, I think that that's going to be the best route to go, just to feed off of that natural energy and go that way. And we've talked before about the fact that, at the very least of the Mangini records, Distance Over Time is the best record that they did with him. And it's to me, it's one of the best records in the catalog. And that's what they did. They just hold themselves away together, wrote from scratch, living together, and they produced a fantastic record that way. So for me, it'd be the first option. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm wondering, is there a sense of urgency? Like, look, let's, as soon as we get something good, let's not screw around with it too much and lose the essence of it, Or is it, hey, let's Dream Theater, Portnoy, arrange the hell out of it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's that line of like, what do they do? Because it's been so long since they worked with him in this capacity.
Yeah, I like Joe Gebhardt has a good idea. Good to see you, man, by the way. He says they could end up with both for A or B. So yeah, I mean they could do the writing wise, they could do the first choice and then end up with B, like a double concept record. So you could get the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, let's do 2 albums. The first, boom, we didn't even really think too much about it. It was whatever the first thing that came to our mind, minor tweaking. Here's 12 songs. We did this in 2 weeks, right? And then the second one, we took 6 months. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how you would. I don't know if any band's ever done something like that. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. So now, are you saying like kind of like pull a Metallica Load Reload, where they wrote a bunch of songs and put the first half out on one record, then did the tour, then put the second half out, like polished them up and put the second half out on another record?
Well, no, I'm still saying it's 2 albums put out together, but the first one is boom. This is just stuff that organically came together really quickly, and it kind of sounds more like, let's say, Distance Over Time. And then the second one is more way fleshed out and way out there, and they took like 3 months to do that one or 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
They put the 2 albums together in a package, but the 2 records don't sound anything. I mean, maybe they might sound a little bit similar, but the way that they were composed and recorded is totally different.
That's interesting. I mean, I think with these guys, you can't really discount anything. I mean, I'm expecting like a straightforward, just a new record, but it is Dream Theater, and they have thrown some curveballs. It's kind of what they do. So they could come out with something just enormous and crazy, especially if it's going to be like, let's say that rumor that everyone's talking about, where it's going to be one album tour, live album tour out. If they're only going to do one more studio record, I mean, maybe they will do something like off the wall, like what you're suggesting. I mean, that very well could be, man. I mean, I mean, real quick, gets in some comments here since we got a bunch of new people here. Chuck74, good to see you, man. He says, finally catching a live stream. I just saw Portnoy at Bubba Bash last Saturday. That's awesome. Chastity Crawley, always good to see you. She says, Happy New Year, everyone. Excited for the first stream of the new year. Obviously, we got Joe Gebhardt in here. Luke has spoken. Hello there. I'm finally catching you guys live for once. Happy New Year. That's awesome, Luke. Thanks for tuning in, man. Ali's Studio, always good to see you. He says, Happy New Year 2024. Hope you're ready for new Dream Theater. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We definitely, of course, as always, have Kale McLeish in here.
He says, no, thank you, Kale. Yeah. That's insightful.
It says, no, we don't want that.
I have a question. What, full disclosure, I have no idea. What is Bubba Bash?
Yeah, that was like an all-star type of thing, if I remember right.
Just a big jam or something, or
I don't know. Yeah, so let us know in the comments there, Chuck. Let us know what Bubba Bash was. Maybe it's I hate to say it, but is it Bubba the Love Sponge? Bubba Bash 2024. Let's see here. So, all right. So according to the internet, which is always reliable, all you need is love. Oh no, wait, no, that's a different show. Never mind. Damn it. It was at the Keswick Theater, I can tell you that. Bubba Bash featuring Why Not?
Oh, okay. I did see something involving that.
Mike Portnoy, Johnny Dinklage, Jason Bittner, Frank Bello, John Wesley, Joe Bergamini, Seven Antonopoulos. I played shows with that guy.
Oh, really?
His actual name is Chris. Yeah, so he's an amazing drummer. And thank you, Kale. He says it's a Neil Peart tribute gig. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
But yeah, he back in 99 or so, 99 or 2000, he was actually the drummer for Vanilla Ice when Ice put out like that like rap rock stuff, like the nu metal record, which actually is really not bad. But I opened for him when he came to Cleveland on that tour date. And his drummer was Chris Antonopoulos, and the guy is insane. Like he's just unbelievable. If you ever get a chance to see that guy play drums, he's out of this world, man. So yeah, that's how I met Antonopoulos. That's cool, man. So all right, so Joe Gebhardy says, I just listened to your episode today again of your deep dive of Dream Theater 12, and you said it best in that episode where Illumination Theory felt glued together. I feel that way a lot about the Mangini era. Yeah, I think, JG3, Vanilla Ice deep dive? Yes, we will deep dive the Bipolar record. CD1 is the rap rock, and CD2 is the hip hop. So there we go.
I loved your ringing endorsement. It's actually not that bad.
Well, but I mean, dude, okay. If someone says to you, Vanilla Ice put out a nu metal record, aren't you going to think it's like hot garbage?
No, I've heard it. I know what you're talking about. I guess that's a good way of phrasing it. It's not that horrible. Not that great either, but it's not that horrible.
See, Doug McCauley's got my back. He says that Ice record was dope. Then he disappeared again. Actually, my guitar player produced one of his records, and my landlord at the time actually put the record out. I think it was Radium Records was the label, but yeah, my buddy.
Trying to figure out who's higher on the food chain here than your guitar player or your landlord.
Well, the landlord had the money, so
okay.
There you go. But yeah, in terms of like the Mangini era being like glued together and stuff like that, I don't know that I feel that way. I don't know if I could agree with that. Do you? I mean, I feel like it was a normal kind of run. I mean, it was, the Astonishing was definitely out there. But I mean, they put out 4 other standard studio records with them. So
I guess that's because of, when we talk about about dramatic turn of events and the drums being pre-mapped already by, what's his face? Petrucci. I can't think of the damn guitar player's name. And the fact that was all done, and then Mangini just kind of came in and played those exact parts. I guess maybe that's why. Yeah. People say that at least about those 2 albums in general. Yeah.
I do think it kind of sucks. I mean, the thing I will say is that, I like the Astonishing, so I'm going to count this as a 3-album run, but for me, the Astonishing, Into Distance Over Time, Into View from the Top of the World, I thought they were really getting, a writing style down together. It was still very much Dream Theater and everything. And obviously, Mangini's a little bit more technical, I would say, than Portnoy. But, I thought they were in a really good run. And so it kind of sucked that, ended when it did.
Doug McCauley, did you just blank on Petrucci? I did. It's been a long day. I'm sick. I'm getting over a cold. I had a very stressful job interview earlier.
Yeah, I'm sure it was stressful.
It was.
Nice.
I had to pretend that I knew you and that you weren't that horrible of a human being.
I told them to ask you for the first question just to really mess with you. Like, so John says you really suck. Can you talk a little bit about that? Yeah. And I couldn't get him to do it.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I don't think it's glued together so much. And I mean, if you do feel that way, I guess then, I really wonder what this is going to feel like with Portnoy again. Is it going to be like that old comfortable pair of jeans, or is it going to feel a little weird? It's going to be interesting. Like it'll be crazy to see how everything, gets leaked out, like how the fans actually react, stuff like that. I mean, I'm super excited for it. I'm hoping that they get all this stuff going earlier rather than later, because I don't want them to tour during busy season at work, because I really can't take time off to go see a show, and I really want to go see the first show back. But if it's like September and later, I might be kind of SOL. Unless it's like a weekend show and I can like, the first date's on like a Friday or a Saturday or something. But yeah, it's
I just noticed something. My name is spelled wrong here. Sometimes it gets confusing because I guess I'm supposed to put the I before the A. Let me fix that real quick. I'll be right back.
good Lord. What the hell is he doing? Do we need the banner? Like John's taking a piss banner, maybe Brian's taking a piss. Who knew? So yeah, Doug McCauley says based off his Drumeo stuff, it's going to be in the pocket, man. Yeah. One of the things that's interesting to me about the Drumeo thing is that, first of all, it's cool to see, it's cool to see him doing this stuff again. But isn't it weird to see him on like a quote unquote normal drum kit playing this stuff? Like is he going to have that monster kit like the Siamese Monster again, or is he going to, have the Winery Dogs, Winery Dogs kit, or even Sons of Apollo was more normal. Like it'll be interesting to see what he pulls out. So, all right, you're back. Were you taking a piss?
No, I got that fixed. Sometimes it's hard because when you have that many letters in your name, it gets confusing. But it is IA, I think.
You're such an ass. It said brain for like the last year.
I know. I didn't even realize it.
Are you serious? You didn't do that on purpose?
I get confused sometimes.
My
name's not easy to spell, man. It's like yours.
Dumb. Oh, shut up.
You forget the H all the time in yours. It's not even in there this time.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, good. So the chat is correcting me. Thank you very much for that. Doug McCauley said it's going to be bigger.
That's what she said.
Well played. JG3 said he said in the Drumeo he's going to have a monster kit, and Chastity and Kale are doubling down on that as well. Okay, yeah, that part I did not hear. I have to be honest, I haven't watched all of the Drumeo stuff. For me, it's like it's cool, but to me, it's like okay, it's Mike Portnoy playing Dream Theater stuff. Awesome. Okay. I should probably watch more of that. I'm trying to pay more attention to like interviews and things like that, so I can glean try and get some more concrete dates, because he's done a few, where he has said, he's got some touring commitments early in the year. I don't know if it's full tour or something like that, but he's definitely got some show commitments in the beginning of the year. And then he said they're going to convene early in the year to start writing and whatnot. So I'm wondering how quickly they want to get something going. Luke has spoken. He says, watch Portnoy play Nickelback on Drumeo. I read about him. He was supposed to do a show with Nickelback, so I know that. And then he had said that, like, he did it with a whole bunch of double bass and stuff like that, I guess, in the Drumeo, like, and because he had never heard it before. So, that certainly will be interesting. God, Mike Portnoy playing Nickelback. That's
when
crazy.
I saw that, I thought it was something from The Onion. I didn't even click on it. I'm like, this can't be real.
Babylon Bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. Could you imagine going to a Nickelback show and you get Mike Portnoy?
That'd be awesome, man.
That would be funny. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see, what the timeline is going to be. I mean, do you think they're going to try and get something out sooner, or, to kind of capitalize on the momentum? Or are they going to kind of sit on it? Like, how do you think they're going to?
No, I think they should be getting to writing and recording like ASAP. Like, I'm going to predict they're done with all that probably by end of March at the latest. Because why mess around and wait? What are you waiting for?
Well, I mean, he does have show commitments, so maybe it kind of like.
What does he still have? I thought the Winery Dogs was all done.
Winery Dogs is done, but it's a couple of like one-offs. It's some of the stuff I read is like more one-off things. Okay. But yeah, I think they're going to write in spring. I'm wondering, like, I don't know how long it really takes to get a record. It's usually like 3-4 months or something, but I'm hoping that they get the record out in like summer, and it's like a summer release, summer tour. So, Yeah,
I was thinking September. I mean, I think was it October was when the last one came out. I think we got the single by the end of August or something last time.
Yeah. Circle J, Jason Cluse, what's up, man? He says, nobody can imagine going to a Nickelback show in the first place. So no. Nice. Oh my God. Joe Gebhardt says, I really hope they make more than one studio album. That creative juice for new music with Mike Portnoy has to last longer than that. Kale says he has said that this is the third act, so I think he's already thinking it's more than just the album tour, live album tour out that we're all talking about. And then JG3 he confirms, he says, yeah, he said in the Drumeo that he still has some live shows until March. So yeah, I'm unfortunately for me, I'm thinking it's going to be like friggin' fall, which really blows.
Yeah, I don't see an album before.
Ugh.
I don't see an album before October.
I'm gonna have to take time off of work in the busiest time of the year, and that's damn it. Oh well. Ali Studio says, what song lacks? Are you hoping to be on Dream Theater 16 when you post the details about the new DT16? Clarify what you mean by song lacks, Ali. Let me know what you mean there.
Yeah, I'm confused.
JG3, one thing I hope they keep doing is letting James do his vocals. The way they did vocals on Systematic Chaos and Black Clouds with Petrucci Portnoy demoing the vocals resulted in less than great melodies. Yeah, that's going to be interesting because I think one of the things that really stood out about the last two records, Jay, at least for me, was the choruses were really big, especially on, for me anyway, View from the Top of the World, because they have more layered vocals, with James not hitting those high notes anymore. They really replaced that with more harmonies in there, which I thought really kind of added to the sound. I really liked it. So,
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, man. There's some great freaking melodies on Black Clouds.
No, there is, but I would take the two recent records over those in terms of chorus melodies personally. I mean, and Black Clouds is great. You're not wrong. I mean, yeah. We've talked about Nightmare to Remember, and that middle part is one of the most beautiful things they've ever done.
I love the melodies in Count of Tuscany, obviously, but
yeah, the one thing that's interesting, and it's something that I kind of got in a discussion with on one of the Dream Theater Facebook pages, and I'm an asshole for getting in there and commenting. And I think,
why bother?
Oh God, those I swear, man. Like, I don't know why I comment on those things. Even reading the comments is just pisses me off. Like, God damn. They were talking about the band finally tuning down to accommodate James so they could kind of expand the number of songs they have to choose from for the live show. And I'll be interested to see if they do that. And I'm also wondering if they can, because with a lot of the stuff using the 7-string, I would think that would sound really muddy. What do you think? Would you think they would be able to do that?
I don't know that just tuning down a half or a whole step. I mean, it helps, but I don't think it helps as much as people think when you're talking about some of the stuff that he has to sing. And the power and how high it is behind it. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, with the 7-string, that could get kind of muddy, I would think.
It's already in B. I mean,
yeah.
At that point, if you drop it a step, you're tuning to Korn. And then it's, you might as well be playing all the 7-string stuff on the 8-string. And then that just doesn't sound right. All right, Kale. He says they've done it already. Illumination Theory is a tuned down 7-string. All right, Kale, yeah, you play guitar. Any of you guys that play guitar, explain this technologically for us or techie wise, because I've always thought that when you drop something that low, it just turns to mud. You just lose the harmonic capabilities of the guitar when it's that low. I mean, especially for something that something like Dream Theater, where you need that as part of the melody. It's not like Korn where it's supposed to be it's not really meant to be a overly discernible riff anyway. So right. So yeah, if you know how that works, I play guitar. I've had setups done, and I have a vague understanding of it, but I just feel like it would sound With a 6-string, you could definitely do it. Like if they're in standard and they drop it down to D, like drop it a step. Okay. And to your point, yeah, some of his stuff is so high that it's not going to be a huge difference. But I mean, you sing in your band a little bit, and obviously I do. I mean, it does open up, the choices that they would have, I would think.
We're a whole step down, and it definitely makes, at my old ass age, singing a lot easier. I will say that, but it's a little weird. It's also a little strange too. Like you really kind of got to get used to it.
Yeah, I'm used to a half step because the bands that I've sang in for the last 15, 16, 17 years, whatever it is, like that's what they tune to.
Right.
And a lot of it is for the lead vocal, sure, but I think a lot of that actually, at least in the bands you and I are in, is almost more for the harmony vocals, because sometimes if you do it in standard, even if the singer can do it, the backing vocals are so high, it's damn near impossible to hit for a lot of people. So,
well, we also and I don't sing in them, but we do those crew tunes, which they are tuned a whole step down. So if you only tune a half step down and you're doing that stuff, you're actually singing it a half step higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is damn near impossible. And again, I don't even attempt to do those. We have our bass player because he's got that kind of voice that fits that. But
sure,
you know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah, Kale. So I know the thickness of the string. He says, sorry, that's supposed to be A from B is basically drop D. It's the thickness of the string that gets dropped makes it more controllable. Yeah, see, Kale, it's like that part I'm familiar with because when I was playing in my original band APG that we talked about on the show a few times, on my bass I had a 5-string and we were tuned to D all the way across, and my 4th string was dropped to C, and then I wanted 2 extra notes on the bottom, so it was like an A sharp or something like that. And I never wrote it it was basically, I used it in a melodic sense in some places. And, there was one chorus that I used it to ring out a low note to kind of add some, tension to it. But my low string was a 175. And that was that thing was like playing like a telephone wire. It was pretty hilarious. But, okay. So Chastity says it's an odd feeling to drop down if you've learned a song a certain way. I'm the only soprano, but having to drop stuff down, but I have to drop stuff down. We have multiple altos. Feels weird. Nice for harmony, odd for lead. Yeah, I think when you're jumping around, and I think someone said in one of those message boards that Jordan said that when they had to, change the tuning, that it kind of messed with him a little bit. So, JG3 has a very good point. He says, I think a perfect example of tuning the songs to the vocalist is Celebration Day Led Zeppelin. They down-tuned the stuff they needed to and kept the stuff in the original key they could, and it was great. I think that is a perfect example, Jay. I kind of think of that all the time when I'm thinking about, bands tuning down and stuff like that, because, Robert Plant did sound great, and, on the songs he had to shriek, they dropped it really low, and it sounded cool. I just wonder what the 7-string thing is going to sound like at that point, but I think that's the smartest way to go. I think I agree with this one. If you pick a song and it's high, then alter the tuning for that particular song. And then the stuff that he doesn't need it, keep it in the regular register.
Yeah.
So Ollie's studio. When do you think Dream Theater will go into the studio, start working on their 16th album? Well, as we were just saying, I think it's going to be spring, and Portnoy has basically confirmed that. So he said he's got these handful of shows, and they said early in the year. And I have seen, I could swear I saw mention of March and spring or something like that in some of his comments. So, so it's definitely going to be that. Yeah, his involvement is going to be very interesting. Like how do you think this is going to play out? Is he going to be the Portnoy of old, or are we going to see like John Petrucci, like more pronounced,
Well, I think for starters, they really have to have a kind of a come to Jesus moment with James regarding, okay, what do you feel the most comfortable with? What do you really want to do? We don't want stuff that is just, look, I don't want to have to go out there and not sound good or worry about it every night. I think they really, really have to just kind of hone in on that as far as the sets go, and as far as the recording of the new music,
Yeah.
I think they really have to keep that stuff in mind so he can sound his best on it.
That's going to be the interesting part to me is, because, Mike, infamously, the one guy he didn't talk to over the years was James. Is that going to kind of rear its head if, James has to, they have to accommodate James live? Is that going to be kind of, a sticking point, or are they past this? You would assume they're past it, but I mean, you never know. Is it going to become an issue again if James has any problems on the road or something like that, or gets a cold? You just don't know. I mean, you just don't know. It's going to be interesting. I just hope they don't have to cut out a shitload of the catalog. I mean, I understand if they do, but I just hope that, we can still get some varied stuff. And
Well, I think what they should do too is maybe, do like 6 weeks, 2 weeks off. You know what I mean? Don't try to go out and go for 4 months straight. I don't think I don't even think they necessarily want to do that either.
yeah,
Kind of go out and break it up so you don't kill your voice and everybody else, kill themselves getting worn out on the road. Just go out and try to do 3 shows a week for maybe, 2 months or something, go home, shut it down, then start it up again. That's what I think would be a better recipe for success.
that's interesting too. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, so I'm glad you brought that up. Do you think they're going to lighten up on the touring schedule, and not in terms of the number of shows, but the number of shows per week? You think they'll kind of like extend the timeline past, a couple months and just make it like, don't do back-to-back shows?
Yeah, I don't think they should ever get in a situation where they're definitely not doing more than 4 a week. I think 3 a week would probably be ideal, but it's hard to book that out and stretch that across. Everything has to line up. Just this stuff now we've talked before is booked 2-3 years in advance. So it's like you got to get this all set up now, and then say, well, I only want to play 3 times this week. Well, it depends on where how the tour falls. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But I definitely would not be trying to play, I don't think, more than 3 times a week.
I think I completely agree with you from, a physical standpoint with the band. I think the challenge that they might run into there is travel, because let's say, you're only playing 3 out of 7 days. Well, then you're farting around in a hotel or whatever for, 2 or 3 days.
That's the problem. That's worse than playing almost, as far as wearing you out. It's like,
yeah. I mean, it'll up the cost, because instead of just, living off the bus, you're going to have to start getting hotel rooms and stuff like that. So, for me, I would say just cut the back-to-backs, like take that day off to kind of rest and recuperate. And I think that would keep everybody a little more fresh. And honestly, when we were, let's be frank, we're speaking of James, because it'll help him out. Like we said, previously he did, he said, I can't, do some of the old stuff the way I did before. So help the guy, prolong the shit. Don't be doing these, like, 2 nights in a row and occasionally a 3 night in a row if they do that anymore. But, give him a hand. And that 1 day's rest, I mean, Chastity can speak to this, being a vocalist, like that, just that 1 day can really help, because you could take that day to be silent. And, I mean, talking stresses your voice, more than singing in a lot of instances, is what people say. So, if you can have that day off in the middle to just kind of relax and not do anything, take care of it, like that would, I'm sure, be like hugely helpful.
Joe Gebhardt, they need to take the time. Okay, I get that. There's
Nice.
never enough time.
I'm not even doing it, man, because you and Kale are going to get rolling, and I'm not.
I know. Let's not.
It's not happening. Also, I can't come up with them that quickly. I'm trying to lead the show, and I can't be. Oh, I gotta think. Of
I had to look
real
up some
fast.
on my phone. I can't think of them that quickly either.
You're going through the discography.
Hell, I couldn't even think of Petrucci's name. The guy that plays guitar for the band we talk about on this podcast.
Oh, that was a good one. And it totally flew past me. I was like, wait, did he miss Petrucci? Oh, I'm looking at the comments.
Right.
And then you got called on it. So, yeah, so anyways, I think the day off thing would be good. I like the idea of in the live environment, tuning down songs that need it, but keeping ones that don't need it, keeping those in the original key, or maybe a half step down just to like make it easy and stuff. You don't want to push it or anything, but yeah, it's I'm kind of surprised we haven't at least gotten some kind of update from the band. I know that like nothing's going on right now, but it's a little surprising to me because I think because this news was so popular and well received, it's kind of interesting that they're not at least throwing a nugget out here and there saying, hey, here's what's up, to kind of keep that momentum going. I mean, did you think we were gonna have a little bit more news by now than just hey, he's back?
They don't want to get buried in the Nick Saban, Bill Belichick retirement
news cycle.
News cycle, yeah.
Nice.
No, I mean, I figure they're like Portnoy's sort of kind of doing the rounds of the interviews here. I think that'll officially probably wrap up by the end of this month, and he'll be done doing those kind of interviews. And maybe they'll start. You said you heard March. I would hope they would start before then, but I guess like you're saying, if he does have these one-offs, they probably want it to where, look, we can lock ourselves back in. What's the name of their headquarters again?
DTHQ.
Yeah, DTHQ. Once they, lock themselves down in there, if they can block off probably a solid 3 weeks or whatever, and get it going, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I know the one thing that Portnoy has been adamant about is that he said that he was asked about his other projects and are you going to keep doing those, and he said that once he gets these kind of one-off things out of the way here that he's got right now, that pretty much he's actually just going to be solely focusing on Dream Theater for a while. He wants to give it 100% of his focus. He's not going to be off doing all these other things like he had before. And he basically said, we'll see which ones survive and which ones don't. So, that'll be kind of interesting, but yeah, I keep thinking March. He's doing stuff in January right now. The one-offs I think go into February if I'm not mistaken. And I just think that, I don't see him coming off the road and immediately running out to DTHQ and like, hey, let's go. I feel like he'll at least take a couple weeks, freshen up and then hit it hard with Dream Theater. And that would put it around March, because we're almost, we're getting close to halfway through January already. So I just think March makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be that. And then, I'm just so excited for that tour. And I'm so pissed off at the timing of it. Yeah. I'm so pissed off about the timing of it.
Dude,
I'm
going to go.
Yeah, I'm going. And I already told my team, like, look, and I don't take any time off during our busy period. I never have. And so they're all like, dude, if you got to go take time off, go for it. You let us take time off. We can cover for you. So that's cool, man. They're a great bunch of people. But
Joe Gebhardt says Mike Portnoy is the only one talking. That's not true. I just got an update from John Myung. Let me share it with you. That was it. Thank you, John. That was. Hold on, he wants to add something else. Okay, that tells us a lot then, huh?
Nice. Yeah, that's another interesting thing. Like, is this how it's going to progress? Is he going to go back to being like the sole mouthpiece? Or are we going to, is John going to continue to do stuff in Jordan? Like, is this going to be a three-headed monster? Or are they going to be like, hey, man, this is what Mike does best. Let's let him do this. And, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. Because, from everything that we've heard, he's kind of, he sounds like he's like, look, they've got a new dynamic and I need to fit into that, instead of, well, I'm coming back and doing what I did before.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more by committee kind of approach for probably everything, and also how they interact with the media and social media and whatnot.
I hope I kind of hope they blow up this new record. Like when they start writing, Like it'd be cool to kind of do, like I think back. I mean, this is old school, and of course, it's me talking about Star Wars. Go figure. But when they were doing the prequels, they had this video series on the internet where they would, I think it was once a week or every other week or something, but on StarWars.com they would put out like this little 4 or 5 minute video that was like behind the scenes of the making of the movie as it was going. And
Yeah.
I think it'd be awesome if they did something like that for the new record to kind of like build the anticipation and get people all pumped up and stuff. Like really make this an event. So
Well, do a full behind the scenes like Systematic Chaos. That was a killer like little movie they did. Starting from day one, going into the studio.
that would be an awesome documentary. I completely agree with you. I mean, hell, just release it as a separate documentary. If you could like do a new record, but also do this like documentary thing. Like, and I don't know if you want to, sell it with the physical copies of the record, in CD or whatever, or make it a standalone DVD.
But do what you're saying too, though. Like record a whole thing, but then also like every couple weeks, give us 2 minutes from the studio or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On social media, that would be killer.
Yeah, I mean it'd be cool, and I think fans would eat it up, and everybody wants to know what the hell's going on. I mean, there's so many questions, and everybody wants to know, okay, where are they at? What are they doing? And I think that'd be a cool way to kind of like pique the interest and not give away too much. But yeah, I mean, a full length documentary. I mean, I would have to think that fans would buy the shit out of that, wouldn't you? I mean, I'd be a second buyer. I would pre-order that and everything. I mean, here's how it came together. Here's how the record, kind of, because they kind of did that with what was it called when Anthrax got? I think it was 2005 when Anthrax got back together with or 2007 or something, when Anthrax did the reunion with Joey Belladonna and Dan Spitz. They had a documentary at the beginning, and they had cameras set up for the first time the 5 of them ever got in a room since Joey left the band in like 1991 or whatever it was. So, and it was literally the first time, like they were filming the doorway, and one of the guys would walk in like, hey, what's up? And then the next guy, however much later, and they all sat down, and like, it was the first time they'd seen each other. And it was really cool because it was, to use a word used earlier, organic.
Yeah.
And there was just that kind of vibe of like, holy shit, I haven't seen you in forever. And I think that would go over huge with the Dream Theater fan base if they did that for this, don't you think?
Yeah, I'd be kind of shocked if they didn't do something like that. Who knows? I mean, they could be cooking up all kinds of stuff because, since Portnoy left the band, like the whole way everything is consumed and recorded and what they can do with audio and video and stuff now and social media. I mean, they could be coming up with some kind of crazy shit we don't even know, who knows?
That's a really good point, man. That is a really good point. I mean, it has been 13 years. And if you think back to like 2010, I mean, Facebook was the thing in the internet, but I mean, it's everything is social media now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I hope they do something like that. I would love to see how this all comes together, and again, I think they have such an opportunity to capitalize on some serious momentum here that I think not doing that would kind of be a missed step.
I mean, something like those bands during the COVID that were doing those live streams, do a live stream of like a rehearsal or something, of a tour rehearsal. I don't know. That would be killer, man. I would love to see something like that,
That'd be awesome. I know I would do that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish bands still did that, by the way. I mean, it might not be a Dream Theater specific statement or question, but I mean, how many of those did you watch during the pandemic?
Yeah, there was a lot of really cool ones, man.
I know I watched Seven Dust. Phil Anselmo did one where it was all Pantera songs. I watched that one. I watched an Anthrax one. Obviously, you and I got together to watch the Images and Words thing.
Yeah. That was a little different though, because that was already recorded from before. But
yeah.
But Killswitch did a cool one too. Like they did a same thing. Like just went into their practice rehearsal place or whatever and performed one of their whole albums. So,
I really wish bands would still kind of do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was in a band, I would actually I would entertain that, because I think I think it's an interesting way to reach the fans and kind of give extra content without a lot of extra, extra effort, extra cost. Just set up a few cameras, set up a pay-per-view, and make a few bucks, and the fans get some extra things. I love your idea about like a rehearsal or something, or even just like play like 3 songs or something. Get together, do 3 songs, like maybe blast it out there, like, hey man, Portnoy's back, like check this out.
Or I mean, you'll laugh because the Metallica album, Saint Anger, but they put that thing where they just showed all that they're playing the whole album live or whatever. You know what I mean? Like something like that would be cool.
That'd be interesting. I mean, that one's always funny to me because that DVD sounded better than the actual album itself. Yeah. And I know for a fact, because like Aiken, when he was doing the metal show, when that record came out, the songs that they did play from the new Metallica record, they played from the DVD instead of from the album because it sounded fatter and better.
And they don't even have to play every song on Saint Anger; just play most of it.
Here's Dream Theater performing Saint Anger in its entirety. Albums that influenced you, and we're gonna do some encores from Lulu. Okay, so Doug McCauley says, "How about one new song and some covers, circa a change of seasons?" I think if you want to absolutely shit on your fan base, you do that. I mean, if Portnoy comes back like, "Hey, here's one new song," I think everyone's just going to riot.
Oh, I think they're just talking about like a teaser for now or something to get us through like a live thing. I don't want any damn covers, man. We don't need. If Portnoy's back in Dream Theater, last thing they need to do is be doing covers.
Yeah. Kale says, I'd actually be extremely up for them to do that. That Saint Anger Sessions DVD was sick. There we go. Circle J. Just bring in Bob Rocket, a psychologist who probes James and Mike about Mike leaving the band. just do a complete ripoff of this of the Some Kind of Monster DVD.
That would be great.
You could have James just screaming in Mike's face and then leaving and slamming the door.
Would Petrucci be Kirk be like, I don't know what we're doing. He's like, we're like crying. Like, what are we doing to each other? He's like such a wuss, man, in that whole thing. He does not come across very well in that at all.
No. I mean, how that whole thing was just so sad to me. My takeaway from that is that they definitely are, I give them credit for surviving that. They were so popular. I think a lesser band, if they weren't like the biggest band in the world and all that, might have broken up over that because they were so all over the place. And the music that they were writing was just absolutely god awful. I mean,
because they were in such a horrible place and it was so forced. It was just such a like, all right, we got to hurry up and show up. We got to all get together and let's write a song. Like, no, it didn't work like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the best part I think was when Lars was showing that new stuff to his dad, and his dad just told him to throw it in the trash. I was like, that is amazing.
Sadly, he didn't throw enough of it in the trash.
I know. I argue with Aiken about that all the time. He says that record has some good songs. I'm like, dude, you're fucked in the head. That record is just absolutely terrible. Oh my God. It's so bad. And I don't know how anybody enjoys that stuff. The production is terrible. The songs just sound like they're trying way too hard. Lars and Kirk obviously cannot write lyrics. This is the hands can't see me. This is the door that will not open. This is the forearm that has some hair. Like, oh my God. Like it's just, whoo boy. That like
do we ever have an episode where we don't start bagging on Metallica at some point?
Well, we still have to do like the cage match, the Ride the Lightning and Justice for All or Puppets or something. We have to do those. So no, then we won't be shitting on them. But
we definitely do acknowledge the greatness. That's not.
Well, of course.
Let's not be JG3, his lifestyle determines his death style. That's good to know. Thank you.
Oh.
We didn't ask, but thanks.
Yeah. Here we go. JG3, Saint Anger deep dive. Holy crap. See, you know what that would turn into, Jay? Basically, that would just turn into a rant. It would be strictly probably for humor's sake, because I don't have anything positive to say about that record.
We got to do it now. We got to get Aiken on if we're doing it, though. We can't do it just the two of us. That won't be.
Oh God, that'll be such an argument. Oh my God, yeah, Kale. Birth is pain, life is pain, death is pain. It's all the same. Yeah. Oh. Oh God. Kale wants to come. Kale, you actually want to defend that piece of shit? Are you shitting me? You want to defend Saint Anger?
Hey, that went like triple plywood over there in Australia.
Triple plywood.
Sold like 37 copies.
Right. Oh my God.
It went zinc.
It went zinc. Oh my God. Kale, I would love to do that, but I don't know how many people would actually tune in to hear us talking about goddamn Saint Anger.
Probably a lot more than you think.
Are you serious? Chuck 74. Come on, man. That snare sound is killer. Oh, it's a killer, all right. I mean, seriously, like, sorry to derail this, but oh my God.
Oh, we're doing this now.
When that came out, when Saint Anger, the song came out, were you like, what the hell is this?
To be fair, I don't think I had heard any of it, and I just saw the CD in the store like a week or two later, and I think I had been hearing people say, this is probably not that great, but I didn't know what I was in for. And then watched the video and stuff that went with it, and like, oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, the video was in San Quentin, which could be cool, but I was just like, what in God's name is this? And frantic, tick, 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 tock. Like, oh my Lord. I mean, that to me seems like it might work on a good album. You'd be like, okay, that's an interesting thing. Like, he's like, the clock is ticking. Okay. But when it's just on an album of nothing but absolute, just sludgy, horrific shit, oh my God, it's.
All right, Doug McCauley wins the contest. I'll let you read it.
Doug McCauley says, I was yesterday old when I realized Lars hasn't played a ride cymbal since 1992. Right. Oh my Lord.
That's awesome.
Oh, I mean, I can't get into, the whole, Kale, correct him. 1998. There's plenty of ride on Load and Reload. You know what he meant, Kale. Quit being a wet blanket. It's bad enough that you're supporting fucking Saint Anger. Jeez Louise. Yeah, there we go. Album cage match. JG3 just suggested it without suggesting it. Fran tick, 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 tock versus I Am the Table. So album cage match. Saint Anger versus Lulu.
Man.
Holy crap. We would just have to have the poop emoji as the show background for that one.
You know what we should do is Saint Anger versus
Risk?
Risk. I couldn't think of the name of it. Yeah.
Well,
I think Risk will win that one.
I do too.
Because I can actually like sort of tolerate some of that. I don't love it, but
well, it for me, it would actually come down to a single song.
If Prince of Darkness on Risk, or is that on?
That's the exact song.
Okay,
yes,
it's the only one that's kind of okay.
Yes, it would be like all of Saint Anger sucks, and even if you don't like anything on Risk, you have to agree that Prince of Darkness at least sounds like a Megadeth tune.
What's the one on there that sounds like a ripoff of Am I Evil? Is that Prince of Darkness, or is that a different one?
No, that
You know which one I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, but I don't think it's on that record.
Oh, maybe it's on World Needs a Hero.
Yeah,
it's on one of those two.
Yeah, it's like at the end of World Needs a Hero.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, this is semi-evil. What are they doing here?
All right. Oh, I forgot. JG3 thinks Risk is a good record. He says, "Yo, don't bring Risk into this." Look, Jay, that record is terrible. You cannot tell me that that's not the worst Megadeth record.
Crush.
Yeah.
Crush.
I mean, dude, Even Super Collider is better than that. Come on now. Let's be honest here.
So is that how it goes? It goes like Collider, Super Collider, really Super Collider. Like what the fuck is a Super Collider? Have you ever heard that word before in your entire life ever?
Yes, it's a large hadron collider. It's for smashing particles together to,
Oh,
witness
look at you all knowing astrology and stuff.
astrology. Yeah, no, I mean, but that to me was like, was he just read it in a book? Like, oh, I'm gonna call the album this. Like, what if he was reading about planes? Like the new album is called Super Turbo Jet Engine. Like,
I think it's almost worse than Invincible Shield, but I don't know. Which we've talked about.
All right, Ali, I have to be honest with you because I know you've asked this question like 4 times. What songs do you hope Dream Theater 16 will have, and what do you think the album title will be, and album artwork and track listing? Ali, I'll be honest, I have no idea.
I was gonna say that's
a little too vague. That's a little too vague for us to speculate on. But I would guess no less than 8 songs. I'm thinking closer to 10. Album title, no idea. Artwork, no idea. But I'm wondering if they might get Hugh Simey involved again. Is it Simey or Sime? But I know he's the classic guy. How long the songs will be? I think it's going to be. I honestly think it's going to be a typical Dream Theater record, in terms of presentation. But I just think I think what's going to set it apart again is the energy and the sound. So.
It's interesting because was it Kale that said something about this? Mike said this is his 3rd act. He called it his 3rd act. So would it be something thematically along the lines of? Don't laugh at me. I say Circle of Life, but like the 3rd act of your of your life in general, or like trying to think of what a better theme would be. You kind of see where I'm going here.
Yeah, I mean, I think lyrically they could do that. I mean, it could definitely be
like a time of sort of like this is sort of like a more of a time of reflection and creativity at the same time.
Yeah, I think a good example there, at least one that I'm familiar with, is Queensryche's Promised Land record. Because Jeff Tate, said that record was basically lyrically, a lot of it was written from the perspective of a bunch of guys, like they were hungry for the success. Operation Mindcrime blew them up, and then Empire put them over the top, and then they were just sold a couple million records, so they basically had everything they want, and then they realized they're middle-aged guys. Like, where do you go from here? It's what's the next step? What do we do?
Right.
And I mean, that very well could be. It could be a very as opposed to, and you know what, dude, like I was about to say, as opposed to like the more fantastical style that they've had on a lot of records. I think especially like if you notice like the lyrics on the last record, they were very much like, we discussed in our deep dive, like they're kind of like inspirational and, reach for the mountaintop type of things. And it's more grounded in reality. They haven't really done that crazy, like, systematic chaos, writing about monsters and vampire stuff, storytelling thing in quite a while. I mean, you had like Room 237 or something. I mean, you have it here and there, but I think I would say the majority of the Mangini era, it was much more grounded in a real sense of actual things happening to people as opposed to fantasy stuff. So, I mean, I could totally see what you're saying being the case, where it's kind of like, they let's face it. I mean, however many records they have in them, I agree with the people in the chat that were saying they hope it's not just one record. I don't think that's gonna. I mean, as much as we've heard that, I don't think that's going to be the case. Personally, I would be surprised at that, unless for some reason this tanks and it's just, the popularity is just not going to come back to where it was. But,
well, if you're going to do an album and you're going to do a tour and then they're going to do a live album, that's puts you at damn near 4 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's just tough to say. If they're for sure doing this live album, then it's going to be a minimum of 5 years before they probably even start a second album.
I don't think it's going to be that long.
No,
Well, their album cycles typically go about 2 years if you look at it. Because
they're going to want to milk this for. They're going to want to milk this album for a minimum 2 years.
Yeah.
The
demand is going to be there. So, Kale says, Brian, the 40th is next year. God bless. Is it? Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it is. Holy crud. That is crazy. Was Score really 20 years ago? Jesus. Where does the time go? That does not feel like that record is 20 years old. That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Do you think if they do another live record, if that's the case, do you think that they can book a place bigger than Radio City to do a show at to record? Like, because Radio City, I want to say, is like 6,000 or something around there. Do you think they could do something like 8 to 10?
Probably not in the States, no.
Yeah. All right, look. God damn it. Doug McCauley and Kale, it says Score. And Kale says drink. No. Absolutely not. I did not say I was there. I mentioned the record. I did.
I was going to say, don't you have to say you were in the documentary or whatever?
Yeah. It's me saying that I was there. Or mentioning that I was there, or but not just mentioning Score itself. That doesn't count. Kale says Madison Square Garden. I think that's too many, Kale.
I don't see that.
Although that would be pretty awesome. Kale, half a drink. Nice.
Yeah, that's one thing John's not capable of is half a drink.
You'd be surprised, man. I am not drinking, at least for January. Like I finally got so sick and tired of being a fat slob piece of shit that I'm like, all right, look, cut out the damn alcohol, try and get some physical activity, and get back to eating healthy all the time instead of just part of the time. And
well, you can knock out the first two of those, but the third one I don't know about.
Hey, I've been perfect so far. I know it's only 11 days, but I've been perfect. So up your butt, Joe Boo.
You missed my whole joke. You said fat slob piece of shit.
Well,
if I have to go back and explain it, it's nowhere near as hilarious as I know it wasn't anyway.
I was busy defending myself on other parts of what you ripped me for. Nice. Oh my God. Ali Studio. Any 8-string song, new 8-string song on the new record?
Sure.
I mean, he's got it. Why not use it? I suppose.
Jason Clues. There's plenty of times I've seen Johnny have 2 half drinks in one sitting. I call that a full drink.
Look, man. Why am I catching shit? What did I do?
I don't know.
It went from Dream Theater to ripping on Metallica to now ripping on me.
This is what happens when you start a show and you really don't have a topic.
No, it's all good. So, all right, before we get out of here for tonight, overall, I think that this is going to be one of the very best years in Dream Theater history. I'm going on record as saying that. I think there's just a renewed excitement that you don't really get with your favorite band very often. So I think for that reason, it's going to be, it's kind of like, like I used the term earlier in the show, like putting on that old, familiar, comfortable pair of jeans. It's, to see Portnoy back and, to kind of hear the songs played, the way they used to, which is weird to say because Mangini played them beautifully. But, to have the original guy back and to have that nostalgia trip for a while is going to be cool.
Well, hold on a second now. So are we totally missing something obvious? And if this is the 40th anniversary coming up, are they all behind the scenes working on some massive box set, Lost Not Forgotten, ginormous special edition, whatever, this and that? They got to be coming up with something, no?
It's an interesting thought. I mean, is that stuff covered in the Lost Not Forgotten releases, though? I mean, do they have a lot of that in there, or are they sitting on a lot of stuff that they're going to do for a 40th anniversary release?
But I mean, just something where they'd say, "Look, we remastered every album You can get it on disc or vinyl for, I don't know, $6.95 or whatever the hell they're going to charge. Something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good point. I didn't think about the 40th anniversary, but I mean that's the one thing that I think Mike brings to the table that they couldn't really do without him. He's got such a sense of what the fans want, and he comes at the way he approaches things from the perspective of a fan. He's like, oh man, if I was into a band, this is what I would like to have, type of a thing. And I think having that back is going to be interesting to see what all they do. So I like Jay's idea. He says, speaking of score, they should finally release that in Blu-ray. Yeah, I think they should take all their stuff that was only released on DVD and put it on Blu-ray. That would be a set that I would buy. Because I've got the 2 DVD set that's Live in Tokyo and Once in a Lifetime. That's pretty cool. But yeah, make a box set of all of the releases and make everything on Blu-ray. Remaster all that with upgraded audio and video, and Doug McCauley, is Blu-ray still a thing? Yes, it is, Doug. I myself actually collect 3D Blu-rays. So, but that's because I can watch them in my PlayStation VR headset, and it's awesome. Watching concerts in that format is kick-ass, by the way. That is especially Sons of Apollo. That live album they put out, watching that in the VR headset is unbelievable. So, yeah, that's a good point, man. I mean, Mike doesn't miss a chance to really blow up an anniversary, so I think that's a really, really.
I mean, I guess it kind of really shows how calculated this could have been too.
Yeah,
the like 40 years is coming up.
Yeah. Maybe like do the album, do a regular tour, then do like a 40th anniversary tour, and that's where they'll record the live record.
Wouldn't it be funny if they were like, if he was like, we should do it? He's like, no, and the rest of them were like, no, let's wait till the 50th. Wait till the 50th. It's like, dude, that's 10 more years.
Right.
Some of you guys might be dead by then.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if we're making all these predictions and like a whole bunch of them actually come true? Like we're sitting here like a year and a half from now, we're looking back at this going, what the hell? We guessed everything.
Right. Or nothing. Like the new album sitting here a year from now. Well, the new album's coming out in August of 25. Oh, great.
or the new record is just Dream Theater does jazz standards.
Yeah.
It's nothing but a jazz cover record.
Nice.
So, well, cool, man. Well, this was fun. We're definitely in for a lot of news this year and some new Dream Theater music, which is always good to look forward to. I just hope they keep us posted on things along the way. I mean, I hope there's not radio silence and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, the record's done. It'd be cool to get updates and, get some pictures on social media and maybe even some little clips of them recording stuff. And, I think that'd be cool. I'd like to kind of be a fly on the wall like we talked about earlier. So I think it'll be fun. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning into another episode of Talking Into Infinity. Brian, this has been fun. Obviously, we will get together. We've got a ton of great stuff coming up for you guys. We got a bunch of stuff that we have talked about doing that we are going to be putting into motion. Of course, we're going to be trying to get whatever interviews we can get. Oh, God, I can't believe I might actually have to set up a goddamn episode about Saint Anger because that means I have to actually listen to that goddamn album. Oh, my
We got to do it.
Seriously, man. Like, if God bless America. If I got to listen to that record, that's not going to be pretty. But I'll hit up Aiken and see if he'll do it. That means you're stuck, Kale. None of this I got to go to work crap. If I have to listen to Saint Anger and take notes on it, holy God, you are not going to work. You're going to take a PTO day for putting me through that suffering. Jesus. Anyway, so yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up. We got some good show ideas in the pipeline. I actually already have the date of the fan hangout in my phone for December. I planned that far ahead.
Good Lord.
Yep. And I think I have an idea for my birthday show. Since we get to pick topics and stuff like that, we have.
When's that again? October?
No, next month, February.
Oh crap! What? I think it's October.
Yeah. So it would be. on February 22nd, because my birthday is Monday the 26th. So it would be February 22nd would be my birthday show. So a few shows from now. I was thinking it might be kind of a good time to get Steven Rosen back on. He can talk about the third edition of Tone Chaser. He had to do a third reprint because the second one completely sold out. So he's doing another reprint, but he did say he would come on and deep dive Fair Warning with us. So maybe for my birthday, we'll talk some Van Halen because that's what I like to do. So, I think that's becoming a yearly thing, me talking about Van Halen on my birthday. So that'll be cool. That'll be cool. So yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talking Into Infinity, a Dream Theater centric podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, please click the like button, click the subscribe button, and smash the notification bell. We will be right back here on Thursday, January 25th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at all of our normal locations. And appreciate all you guys in the chat. Jason Clues, Kale McLeish, Chastity, Ali, good to see you. JG3, Doug McCauley, Joe Gebhardt, thank all you guys for tuning in. It was awesome to see you. Chastity is asking real quick for the fan hangout date. That would be Friday, December 20th. So that will be the date of the fan hangout.
It's only got 11 and a half months to prepare.
Yeah, 11 months and 9 days from now. So mark your calendars, y'all. Come up with your topics. But yeah, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talking Into Infinity, guys. We will be back here on January 25th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Brian, it's been cool. Hopefully you get a second interview, an official in-person interview where I work, and it goes well if you enjoy the job. And maybe we'll be coworkers again. If so, don't come find me. So till next time, guys, I'm your host, John. He is Brian, or Brain, if he, still can't figure out the spelling. And as always, guys, see you next time, and Carpe Diem.